everyone, Karen here, and today I have nesting die layout number 15. And as you could probably guess, it's going to be a wedding card. Now before we get started, let's review the nesting dies I've been using. This is the rectangle set from Crafter's Companion from a couple years ago. It has a 12-piece set. The biggest one is 4x6, and it goes down to this teeny tiny one. When I refer to a number, I'm starting at the middle, and it's 1, 2, 3, all the way up to the biggest one, that's 4x6. I'm going to call number 12. Now today, we're only going to use the big one, number 12. Everything's going to be cut from there. So let me move this set out of the way. And what I did is I cut a bunch of these, and we are going to emboss them. Now, I know you're thinking this is probably vellum, but it's not. It's tracing paper. Now, tracing paper and vellum will emboss exactly the same way. You just have to do it slow, and we'll get to that in a second. But tracing paper, you can buy in whole big packs, and it's very affordable, and yeah, it acts exactly the same way. So let me show you what we did here, because I did already cut some already, because we are going to use a bunch of these. Now, I did get 3 of these out of 1 sheet of paper, and the sheet of paper cost me about 20 cents a sheet, so it's still only 60 cents. You could use regular paper, regular white paper for this. That would be also pretty. If you just wanted to use regular paper. But what we're going to do is, let me bring in my manual machine here, because the secret to cutting vellum and tracing paper is to do it slowly so it doesn't crack. So I went ahead and cut out all of the number 12, the biggest nesting dies, beforehand. And I'm going to be using this embossing folder right here from Age of Elegance. This is the one I'm going to use. Alright, so let's put that to the side. So first thing I want to do is I want to get it on here. Now I have to look at it to see which is the front and the back. And I want the front facing side down, because this is the part that is recessed. This is the part that's going to push it through, and I want it to push it through to the front. So the front part needs to be on the printed part here. So I want to make sure that they all kind of look the same. So I've been lining them up using the curve here to line up against here. And then there are 2 flowers here, and I've just been making sure that those 2 are across the top. So let me fold this here. Now, to get a good emboss, you will have to use the shim, because this is a 2D folder. But I didn't get a very deep emboss, so I put a piece of 20-pound copy paper folded in half, so that gives me 40 pounds of weight, and I put this on here. Now, thicker paper was way too much pressure, and it did crack it, but this worked just fine. So you want to put it through here. Let me move this around so I can reach my handle. There we go. All right, now we're going to put this in here. And I'm going to, let me move this up here a little bit. I'm going to slowly crank it, very slowly. And you're going to hear the cracking, but you want to just give that paper time to learn what you want it to do. And if you do it slowly, it won't crack. And this is why I'm using my manual machine, because it went way too fast through my electric machine, and it did crack it. But doing it this way, you get a really nice emboss and no cracking. One more time. There we go. So let me move this out of the way. Alright, so let's see what we have. So now we can see this is going to be the front. You can see the really nice emboss. No cracking. So just do it that way. Nice and slow through a manual machine, and you'll have no problems. Alright, so this piece here is 5x7, and this is where we are going to start laying down our pieces. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure that I do have them all going in the same direction. So that one is up. Alright, so now I'm going to take some tape, and this any kind of dry adhesive will work for this, because this is going to get covered with a strip. So I'm not too concerned about the tape showing, because I'm going to cover this here. So I have to decide where I want to put the tape is the important part here. So if I want this strip to be about their shoulders, because what I'm thinking is the little bride and groom will be down here. I guess I can measure it with just the bride. So if she's going to be down here, I want this strip to be about her shoulders. So I'm wanting this strip to be about here. So I need to put my tape right about here. And I'm just going to draw a little line across here just so I can know where to put my tape here. Just going to line this up. And I'm just going to put a little line. Alright, so my tape, I'm going to start here. Actually, I'm going to come in just a little bit. I'm going to come in about 3/4 of an inch. Move that out of the way. So I'm going to come in 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to start my tape. And I'm going to go across here. Just like that. And rip that off. So now I have a spot where I can stick my adhesive, and then this strip will cover all the adhesive at the end. Okay, so let's take this off. We'll lay our first one down. So I want to make sure we're all in the same direction here. Now I'm going to lay this down. Let's see if I can get this camera to come in a little bit closer. Alright, we are nice and tight now. Alright, so see how there's 2 points here? I want that to cover the whole entire paper. So I'm going to line up those points just past the paper, because I'm going to lay this to where the whole paper is covered here. So I don't want any of that to show. So we're going to lay it down here, and there we go. So now I'll need a little bit more tape. I'm going to come in 3/4 of an inch from the edge of the paper, and I'm going to put a little bit more tape across here, just so I have something to stick the next sheet to. So now I'm going to take this one, I'm going to line it up with the bottom here. I want to make sure I'm 3/4 of an inch in, and I'm going to line that up. And I didn't pull the paper off, did I? No, I did not. It would help if I pulled the paper off. Alright, let's try that again. Alright, 3/4 of an inch from the end. Line up the bottom, so it's nice and straight, and press down. Now we will rinse and repeat. 3/4 of an inch in, put a piece of tape across here, rip it off, press it down, remove paper, take next one, make sure we're still in the right direction. Line that up 3/4 of an inch from the one I just laid down, which will be right about here. We will line this up and lay it down. Now we will go 3/4 of an inch in. Now if you have a hard time seeing this, you can always take a different color piece of paper. Let me grab something. Alright, let's see if this helps it show up on the camera a little bit better. Oh yeah, now you can see the edge. Okay. So I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch. Alright, so 3/4 of an inch. Gonna put some tape down. And we're just still following our line here. Peel the tape back and put the next one down. Put it right where the tape starts. Whoops, line it up. And put it down. There we go. And I will scoot this over so you can see it. I'm not sure if that's helping. Alright, so I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch Put some more tape down. And rip it off. Peel the tape back. Line that up. And press down. Now, as we're getting closer to the edge here, you can start cutting these in half and then use each side if you would like. So 3/4 of an inch. Put the tape down. Take the paper and we'll put one down. Now you absolutely could space these out a little bit more if you wanted to. Alright, so now I'm only going to put tape to the end here because we're going to be cutting that off in a minute. Line this up once again. Go across. Rinse and repeat. Now this one here, you absolutely could cut this off at this point and use that one again. So I'm going to go 3/4, put the tape down, and line this up. This is the last one. Alright, I'm going to give this a good press. And let me get the paper cutter. Alright, I backed the camera back out again. Now I'm going to turn this upside down. And I'm going to go to the edge of my 5x7 here. You can also double check by checking your line here. And I'm going to cut this off. Go to the other side. And go to the 7. That off. Now this length should be 5. I'm going to go to the edge here and trim that off. And the 4th side. Now will be a 5. And cut that off. Make sure that's straight. There we go. And cut that off. So now we have this front, and you can put it either way. Alright, so next we want to put on this strip. Now this is going to come across here, and I'm going to have the bride and groom on here. But I want to, let me grab my tray here. I want to put on your wedding day across the front here. Now I need to make sure, I grab my little groom here. The groom is going to be here, the bride is going to be here. So the on your wedding day needs to be about here. Because that way it will end behind her and it will continue off this side of the paper. So now that we have this lined up, I'm going to put my finger on here and grab my stamping platform and slide this up. Get the little Mr. and Mrs. out of the way here. Alright. Now I want to heat emboss this, So I am going to put some powder on here first. And I'm not concerned about my sticky mat because I can wash that afterwards, because it probably is going to end up with powder on it. All right, now since my bride and groom are gold, I'm going to use gold ink and then emboss it with clear. Bring in my scrap paper. All right, we have clear. And we'll cover the whole thing here. There we go. That looks good. And we'll pour this back in. Get rid of this. Close that up. Now with heat emboss. I do want to wipe this off here. There you go. I should have heated this up a little bit first. There it goes. There we go. All done. All right, let's start constructing this. Now I think I do want to put this on a little bit of foam. This is just the very skinny 1/16 foam. So I'm going to put it on the back of here. Too far in the end here, that's sticking out. Let me cut that off. Just pull it back a little bit. Snippy snippy. All right, let me grab some glue. Now this is glitter card, so we have to put on a fair amount of glue here to get it to stick, because it's going to go into all the little nooks and crannies there, and so you're going to need a little more glue than you normally would use. Let's line this up. Now I did not give you the measurements of these pieces of paper, so let's do that while this dries. Okay, so the black paper is 3/4 of an inch by 7, and the silver is 1 inch by 7. All right, so this is how to change the dry. So let's bring in all of our pieces. So we have the groom, the bride, we have our on your wedding day, and we have the piece that we layered all the tracing paper on. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is make sure we're going to put this in the right spot. So we have our little bride here. We want this by her shoulders. So I'm going to put this about here. I'm just going to put that here too, so I can remember where to put it. Okay, and we're going to stick this down. And I just want to make sure it's straight before I press it down. Let me grab my T-ruler here. Make sure I am straight. A T-rule is a very helpful tool to make sure things are straight. You should absolutely have one. Okay, so there we go. So now we're going to need a little foam behind our bride and groom here, because now they're going to be sticking on here. Maybe they'll be all right. Let's see. So we're going to put them together. I think I'm going to put him behind her. And they will sit just like this. There's our groom. Now our bride will go right on top here. So she's just going to need, let me grab my little bottle of glue. So we'll glue her arm, and half her skirt here. And I'm going to spread that out a little bit. And maybe we'll put her right about here. Well, I can glue her down a little bit more here. Her arm across here. All right. Make sure the groom's shoes are covered. And I'll wipe that glue off. That's not where I wanted it. And there we go. Nice thing about mirror card is glue rubs right off of it. Now what I can do now is take a little piece of foam. I'm going to stick this behind the bride, because now I have a little bit bigger target to put that on. Since the groom's legs are glued to the bride, I can just slide this underneath here. There we go. That will give them a little bit more support there. There we go. On your wedding day. Right, so now let's attach it to the card base. Oh yeah, and this bride and groom are an old bride and groom from Crafter's Companion that was many years ago. So now we're just going to glue this to the front. And any bride and groom will work. Oh, that needs to be trimmed a little bit. Let me trim this off. That is sticking out just a little bit. There we go. So now let's get some glue on here. Make sure we're not putting it on upside down. And since this is 5 by 7, it's going to fit flush right up against the card, the whole length and width of the card. Alright, for the inside of the card, I wanted to do something a little special since it's a wedding card. So I started off with the largest die, number 12, and I cut that out in black. I then went down a size to number 11, and I cut that out and then embossed it with the same embossing folder we did on the front. And look how pretty this is going to look on the black, because it really shows up nicely on the black. Look at that. That is very pretty. Either way. Either side looks really nice. And then I went down one more to number 10, and I cut it out of plain white paper, and this is what I'm going to stamp my message on. So that will end up being like this. Alright, so let me grab my message. Alright, so here's my paper, number 10. And we'll put that on here. I have my message that says, wishing you both a life filled with health, wealth, and happiness. We'll put that in the middle. Oh wait, you know what? Let me brush that off first. Since I'm going to emboss the inside to match the outside. put that back on here. And once again, we will ink up. Bring my scrap paper back in. Cover this all up. Once again, this is clear. All right, get this back in the bottle. Now this time I'm going to hold it with a pair of tweezers because my hand did get a little hot last time. That way I can keep my fingers away from it a little bit more. And we'll emboss. Let me look. Yep. All nice and shiny, shiny. All right, so let's bring in the other two pieces. And tape. Now because most of this is going to get covered, I am not too concerned about tape showing. So I'm just going to put some tape across here and here. Make sure I'm not getting too carried away here. And a little piece here. And pull the backing off. And this will get lined up in the middle. Like that, because this is a one-time stick. Press that down. So you can't even see that glue too much. You can see it a little bit in through here, but it's not too bad. But it's going to get covered. So now I'm just going to put some tape across the back of this. And some more here. And maybe a piece going this way. And something in the middle here. That's probably good. All right, pull all this paper off. All right, this is going to be a one-time stick. So you'll need to make sure we're nice and straight. That really shows up nice against the black. Alright, bring in our card and glue this to the inside and we will be done. There we go. And this will just go in the middle. Alright, so let's do a quick review. So I used the largest die, number 12, and I cut out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Laid it across 3/4 of an inch apart, then trimmed to size. Put the 3/4 of an inch and 1 inch strip. The silver is 1 inch, the black is 3/4 of an inch. Heat embossed that. Put them on 1/16 in foam. Then for the inside, we have die 12, 11, and 10. Black paper, more tracing paper, and plain white paper, and we heat embossed it like we did on the front. So there we go. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me angle it so you can see it a little bit better. So I hope you enjoyed this card. If you did, give me a thumbs up. And please consider subscribing to my channel because we will have more cards in the weeks to come. Until next time, stay crafty.